time. It's time. It's time. It's Commissioner Cooper, and it's time for TSS Fantasy. Yeah. 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 It's Commissioner Cooper, and it's time.
How the fuck you got me up this damn early, Jason?
It's time.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's Commissioner Cooper, and it's time to wake up with TSS Fantasy. Apparently, I'm not woke up either because I didn't even put the camera on. Love that CBS morning stuff for Sunday morning indeed. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I apparently am the only crazy person to get up this early. Dr. Miller, unfortunately, was not able to join us this morning. The children, unfortunately, weren't feeling so well. When you're texting me at 3 a.m. that there's something going on, then there obviously is child issues. Been there, done that. But listen, we welcome you. We want to thank you for joining us this morning. First of all, we are the fantasy show of the people. So please visit us, tssfantasy.com. All of our latest rankings are up. You can also visit us at Belly Up Sports Podcast Network. You can join all the latest podcasts that they have, from racing to wrestling, everything. Please join our network. Lots of good stuff if you're a sports fan. Also, if you're on the Unhinged Radio Network, you can find us every morning, 8 to 9 a.m. You make us part of your morning commute because we are the fantasy show of the people. And in fact, today, after this is concluded, you can go to Unhinged Radio and you can hear our Ready, Set, Week 4 podcast as well. So that'll get you ready for this week's action along with today as well. All right. So since Dr. Miller is not in the building, unfortunately, I'm not going to give the best in-depth analysis as him. However, he did teach me everything I know as a licensed therapist. So I'll pretend, that the doctor is in.
He's the one that calls Dr. Taylor. He's the one that makes you feel alright. He's the one that calls Dr. Taylor. He's gonna be your Frankenstein. I got one.
All right, so might not be a doctor, and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. However, I do have some knowledge as we go along. So let's just look at today's action and people that you may or may not play today. Well, we have Curtis Samuel, by the way. We can start there. He's back at practice. So these are people you might want to claim off the waiver wire if they have not been claimed already. Rashad Bateman also back at practice. Now he's somebody who's really interesting because he is the big speedster that they went and grabbed in the first round for Lamar. And, with the lack of basically production that comes out of the receiver other than Hollywood Brown, Rashad Bateman could be a big play for you later on this season, as well as that kind of brings the value of Brown down as well. So just something to note. But I don't believe he'll be back this game. It's possible, but don't expect much if he is. Also, Jamison Crowder returned to practice also with from a groin. The groin and hamstring injuries, Dr. Miller brought it up last week, and I forget the term he used, but just ineffective off-season training. It's just a lot of these soft tissue injuries are popping up. Again, groin, you'll see hamstring a lot. So just something to note as we go forward. From Thursday night, DJ Shark he fractured his ankle. Unfortunately, that's lights out for him this season. No more Duke to do in Jacksonville, and that's unfortunate because DJ Shark's that guy that you plug and play him in certain games. He really does play well for you. Joe Mixon. Now, he's been a big topic on our show, and looks like he did injure his ankle Thursday night. The coach is optimistic he will play next week, And I believe, I think it's the Chiefs or somebody decent. Yeah, they have a decent matchup. However, maybe it's Green Bay. The issue being that it's a possible high ankle sprain. That's what some words coming out. So that actually might be a huge issue going forward for Joe Mixon, because you know how those high ankle sprains go. They don't. They last pretty long and they do linger. And again, with Joe Mixon's history, I'm not sure I just kind of stay away, like I said in the beginning of the season. So that was all from Thursday night or whatnot. All right, let's get on to today, and we'll talk about the guys that are out today and the impact that has. All right, so A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, two guys that are out today. And again, first instinct is, okay, well, what receiver can I pick up? But if you look at the receiver base, I mean, there's a bunch of just average Joes, best way to describe it. So it'd be kind of shooting craps if you're wanting to plug and play a Titans receiver. I think the play here, obviously, is Henry, but if you were going to go at any receiver, I'd go to the tight end position. I'd watch out for Firsker today. He's been there and he's got some rapport with Ryan Tannehill. So I'd watch him. I think he's got a good sleeper value today. Ryan Tannehill, however, should be down in your rankings. I don't think I had a chance to lower him in mine, but he definitely should be down with the downgrade at receiver. So again, just make sure you don't have, if they have those players, just make sure they're not in your lineup today. Rob Gronkowski. Unfortunately, those ribs look like they hurt a little too much for him, so he's not even going to make the trip to New England, which is sad to say the least. With all this matchup coming up, you're kind of expecting something out of Gronk today. However, again, they have great receivers. This could be a more uptick for Antonio Brown, I would expect, more for Mike Evans, more for Chris Godwin. So somewhere, Gronk's targets that, 5, 6, 7 a game, those will end up going to the other guys, depending, of course, on game flow as well. Or, some possibility, just got to throw it out there, if you're in desperate need at tight end, O.J. Howard's is somebody to pick up this week. So, with the injury to Gronk and a game that you expect, they've been talking about this game all offseason. This is supposed to be the game of the year, so to speak, which the matchup doesn't really dictate that. You get the homecoming for Brady. It's going to, we're going to hear it all morning long. But we'll see. But I think his value for O.J. Howard does at least come up. It does come up because if that he's going to be in that starting lineup, and could he get some targets? We'll see. We've ridden this O.J. Howard train for a long time now. Always ends on disappointment. So again, could be a big day for him. Just somebody to look out for, especially if you're hurting at the tight end position, if you had some injuries and whatnot. All right, let's go on to New York. Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton, both out with the hamstrings. Dr. Miller told you earlier this week, I know they were kind of up in the air, but Dr. Miller already told you it wouldn't make sense for them to play them. That's what makes these grade ones, he stated last week, 2 grade 2s. And when you play on those, that's what reactivates them, and then it's all season long with those. So again, Kenny Golladay, great play today, obviously, and Evan Ingram, his value goes up. And I say great play in the sense that, they're going to get more targets. However, it is a tough matchup with the Saints. So again, temper your expectations on Golladay. Of course you would expect, they're just going to throw the ball entirely to him. But again, it's New Orleans, great match, great defense. So I'd be wary of starting them this week. Or either one of them, but going forward, if say next week the Giants are out, or if the Giants are, if Sterling Shepard or Darius Slayton are out again, then here you go with the value going higher with them, with a better matchup for them next week. All right, let's go to. We'll just go to the. I'll just go kind of through the matchups and the injuries. Russell Gage out at the Falcons game. He's been out a little bit with this ankle injury. Hasn't brought up the value for Ridley because this offense has struggled a bit. So not a huge ordeal there. Wouldn't expect, a big uptick for Calvin Ridley. He's already going to have a decent decent game as it is. Dalvin Cook, he's been interesting this week. He kind of we talked about that game where he kind of went in and out of the lineup, thought it was okay. Turns out ankle issues, didn't play last week. Madison stepped up, had a great game, but he's questionable today. So, man, this is like the worst thing in the world for Dalvin Cook owners. Not only are you, wondering, is this guy going to play or not? The matchup's not good. And, you have Madison who played well last week. So if he says, okay, well, let's decide to give it a go, runs a few series and that ankle starts to hurt a little bit, here out he goes. And out goes your fantasy day for him, which really isn't fun at all. So I would stay away from Cook today only because we're not sure of the ankle diagnosis. And then again, poor matchup, and Madison played well. So he's going to eat some carries this week. So again, I would stay away from Dalvin Cook this week if you could, but obviously you drafted him pretty high. So you'll probably want to start him regardless, but again, caution. DeAndre Swift, he's questionable start today. He with a groin injury, so something to watch out for. Jamal Williams, obviously, if he doesn't go, his value goes up. Tough matchup against the Bears. They were 5th against the run. I apologize, I didn't pull it up what they are now last week. So again, tough matchup for him. Andy Dalton and Darnell Mooney are both questionable. One with Dalton with the knee and Darnell Mooney with the groin. I mean, I just don't know what's going on with the Bears. Although it's to point out they're playing the Lions. Even Trey Flowers is out for them. So good matchup for the Bears offense today. I just don't know who the hell's going to throw the rock or what they're going to do. But maybe Montgomery might have a decent day today, so that's somebody else to be looking for, especially if you play in those DraftKings and those type leagues. Sorry, I can't think of anything. It is early. All right, Carolina Panthers and the Cowboys. So Christian McCaffrey, we know who's out. And that one, I think that's pretty much it as far as injuries there. Now we have the doubtful status of Carson Wentz, Jonathan Taylor, and Jack Doyle. Jonathan Taylor with a knee, Carson Wentz with ankles, and Jack Doyle with his back. So, again, I don't want to pump up my boys too much because they've been disappointing me. However, their defense is solid. If they're going in that game, going out of Miami to, do our thing down there, the defense plays well. I think I would definitely stay away from the Colts today. Maybe Jonathan Taylor, but I would not start Wentz. But Jonathan Taylor could be a decent play for you today. As long as that knee holds up. All right, we'll move on. Looking at the other injury news, we talked about the Titans, A.J. Brown. We talked about that. We didn't talk about Elijah Moore. He is out because, who wants to talk about the Jets offense? Probably they don't even want to. Elijah Moore out with a concussion. Jamison Crowder is actually back at practice. So somebody that might be a decent pickup for you and the waiver wire, although I don't know why he'd be picking up any Jets. But he may play today, but wouldn't expect much out of that. In the Cardinals-Rams game, Darrell Henderson, he played. He's going to use the flak jacket, it looks like, he practiced. Going to use the flak jacket more than likely. In a game that I think really is going to be, this is going to be, I choose one each week. And this, for me, is going to be that game, the fantasy extravaganza, the Arizona Cardinals and Rams. So Darrell Henderson, he'll be playing, and Tutu Atwell, if you're playing in maybe Dynasty, is probably what his value would be at. He actually is questionable as well with an illness. So just something to note going forward. Seahawks and the 49ers. So we got a slew of stuff going on here. Obviously, Rashad Penny is still out. Tyler Lockett, he practiced in full, but they still have him as questionable with a hip injury. So just make sure you're watching that up into game time. Elijah Mitchell, is doubtful today. So again, Trey Sermon is brought back up again. So, does he answer the call this week, though? He just didn't look like he was kind of out of his element a little bit last week, but should be a little more favorable matchup with the Seahawks defense. Lamar Jackson, he's someone else that popped up this week, hurt with his back. And so I put him, if you caught our last show, I put him as a sit-em this week. Not somebody I would really want to play against a stout Denver D who's really tough against the run, which we know Lamar likes to do. So I would just caution any start against this. But, again, if you drafted Lamar, you probably don't have a better option. But there are some decent quarterbacks out there this week you could plug and play. As far as the Broncos side, Melvin Gordon actually popped up as questionable as well. So that would obviously bring up Javonte Williams' status. If he doesn't go, still a tough matchup against his Ravens defense. So, not the greatest play in the world. Another interesting situation in Pittsburgh, Chase Claypool is questionable with the hamstring and was looking even doubtful yesterday. On Friday. So, again, that's something to watch. That brings Deontay Johnson was back at practice. He's not even on the injury report, so he will play today. He will have good value today against the Packers because, look, they're going to have to keep up, against Aaron Rodgers, who's, been quite on fire lately, and that Steelers D hasn't been the Steelers D of old. So just something to note as well. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, he's out in this game. So again, not much to note there, to be honest. Giovanni Bernard in that Bucks game, he will be out with the knee. And on the Patriots side, really just it's interesting because they have a few injuries on defense, and an already tough matchup. So that could be big things for Brady today. I think, as far as fantasy goes, I think Brady is set for a big day today. All right, we're going to move on now. That'll end the injuries. And like I said, I had nothing really cool to note, just reading off what the reports are saying. So that's the end of that one. All right, so let's go on now. Let's talk about today's weather report.
It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day.
All right, in today's weather, I feel like the local weatherman. I think it's great. All right, but this is actually good stuff because, it was something I used to look up way back in the day, when I did fantasy, and I kind of stopped doing it, but it's important to note, especially as later on in the season it gets going and the weather really starts to change and affect football games. Today, it's starting to get there. See, last week, I was talking about most of the games, there was no effect, except the Chiefs game. I noted a little wind, and that definitely did affect the game. All right, so let's talk about the weathers today in Buffalo. The Texans at Buffalo, 63 degrees, getting a little chilly. Possible rain, light rain, and 8-mile-an-hour winds. So that's sounds like a Buffalo kind of game. Lions at the Bears, 70 degrees, a little warmer. Still possible light chance of rain, 4-mile-an-hour winds there. So not so windy in the Windy City. Panthers at Cowboys, 78 and clear. So they got some great conditions there today. 6-mile-an-hour winds. That's going to be a great ball game to go see sitting in the stands. You got the Panthers rolling in. It's a good one. Indianapolis at the America's team, the Miami Dolphins. Listen, this is Miami right here. 85 degrees, humid, and mostly cloudy. So 12-mile-an-hour winds, though. So something to note. Might be a little windy down in Miami today. Browns at Vikings Dome, in the dome of the Saints as well. Titans at the Jets. It looks like it's going to be 74 degrees, partly cloudy today in New York. 5-mile-an-hour wind. So again, another nice ball game. It looks like some really good football games to go attend. So I hope you guys get out there and go see them. Chiefs at the Eagles, 72 degrees, mostly cloudy, 4-mile-an-hour wind. So again, northeast. Looks like it's got some great weather today. Seahawks at the 49ers. The weather just continues to look good. 83 degrees, clear for that game, 4-mile-an-hour winds. Ravens at Broncos, 79, clear, 5-mile-an-hour winds. Steelers at Packers, 70-mile-an-hour, mostly cloudy, 5-mile-an-hour winds. And then in the evening, the Bucks and the Patriots, 60 degrees. I'm down here in Florida, so if you're listening to it, you probably think I'm crazy. But 60, wow, that's crazy. Possible light rain, 4-mile-an-hour winds. So that is today's weather report. Again, not much to note, but like I said, as the season progresses, we'll see this weather report affect the games a little more, and you might be a little more interested than you are currently today. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to have this week's breakdown. All right, we'll be right back.
Hey TSS family, this is Flanders here again, and I want to ask you, do you want to learn how to defend yourself, become more confident, and be more fit? I think you do. That's why I recommend John Emmons Taekwondo in Kissimmee, Florida. At this dojo, you will learn an old art for a modern age under the tutelage of an 8th degree black belt, Master John Emmons. If you want the martial arts to be part of your life and you value hard work with high quality results at reasonable prices, then John Emmons Taekwondo is the place for you. They can be found at evanstaekwondo.com, and you can call them at 407-931-1118. John Emmons Taekwondo is our #1 pick for self-defense, and we are the fantasy show of the people.
All right, yes, let's get going because we got a busy day today and I have to do this all on my lonesome, so I got to find some stuff to talk about. Let's start with this Sunday's NFL breakdown. All right, so we are going to start today in New York. The Tennessee Titans versus the New York Jets. Again, interesting game here when it comes to fantasy, because if you are a Derrick Henry owner today, you are salivating at this matchup. However, I would say to temper your expectations a bit. The Jets defense actually is pretty decent against the run, although game flow might have dictated that as their offense is just putrid. So that's a good indication of that, of the reason why the defenses look so well, because if they're throwing up, if other teams are throwing the ball all over you, obviously, and you're not producing anything, then other teams necessarily later on they might try to run the ball, but at that point they're running the ball because they're running the clock. So it makes sense that their defense is ranked high against the rush. However, they haven't faced Derrick Henry yet either, so we're going to see how that plays out today. I think the Titans defense obviously will be putting Tennessee in some really good positions this week. So I think, again, I have Derrick Henry as my #1 back this week. I don't see how you don't have him as your #1 back this week. I mean, it's just a great matchup all the way around. Looking at the boys, they obviously have the same rankings there with the running back as Derrick Henry. I mean, those are two Jet fans. They're letting you know they're ready to get run on today. As I mentioned, Julio Jones and AJ Brown, they are out today. So there's nobody, I would say, the Titans receiving core that I would go for. You'd be really shooting craps at this point. Somebody is going to have a big day, and hey, you know what? No brisket, no biscuit. You may end up having a good day if you pick one of those guys, because they will get the majority of the looks possibly, or they may, like I said, may end up just making it all about Derrick Henry today. But look for Fursker in this matchup too if you're looking for a plug and play tight end. Not a bad choice there. Jets wise, that offense has just been completely putrid. So as I'm, even as I'm looking at this matchup, I mean, they're Zach Wilson. I mean, Titans D. I mean, yes, please start them. Not the best. I mean, they're 14th in the league, but they're not slouches neither. And this is just a good matchup for them. I can't even say Michael Carter. I can't say anyone. There's really nobody on the Jets I would start this week. Maybe if they get some favorable matchups and the offense starts to get flowing a little bit. But right now, there's just no flow to that Jets offense. So I would start Titans D out of this one. again, make sure Julio Jones or A.J. Brown, obviously they have to be out of your lineup. Maybe if you need, plug and play Fursker. And again, as far as the Jets are concerned, there's nobody really on that side of the fantasy football realm that I would go with this week in that particular matchup. All right. So that was a completely boring fantasy matchup. Let's go to one that has a little more spice to it and a little more stars. Let's go to Philly and KC. And I expect this now. I know I called my shot earlier on the Rams Cardinals. This could also be that fantasy extravaganza as well. Chiefs defense is completely garbage. In fact, it is ranked 28th overall in the league. And surprisingly, the Eagles D is ranked 7th. Because they played well. Remember, they played the Falcons that first game, played out, showed the Cowboys they played decently against as well for a little while anyway. And then they came back to earth a little bit. So, I expect the Chiefs to do what the Chiefs do today. Pat Mahomes is a good start. Let's see where I got Pat ranked. In my QB rankings this week, I got Pat Mahomes as number 3 this week. So, again, I think it's a good play. I would definitely ride it. And not too far behind him, Jalen Hurts, number 6. So, obviously, I think this is going to be a good matchup because I have both QBs in my top 6. So, this is, it's a good fantasy affair, so to speak. I actually like Miles Sanders this week. And I know a lot of people were shying away because they're like, look, he only carried the ball 2 times. Well, yeah, again, it goes back to game flow, and it goes back to the ebb and flow of the league and how all this shit works, to be quite frank. We are not the only people sitting here saying, hey, Philly, you can't win by handing the ball up 2 times. No shit. Like, I'm sure that they looked at the film too and said, hey, we can't win this way. We got to get Miles Sanders the ball more. So I would expect Miles Sanders to have a decent day today. I wouldn't shy away from him. If you were, sitting here debating, hey, should I start, should I throw Miles Sanders in there? What should I do? I think you can play him with some confidence today. I think that they will, I even say that without saying it with confidence. I think you can. No, play him with confidence today. The Chiefs defense is complete garbage. So I would definitely have some good expectations from Miles Sanders today. On the receiving wise, Devonta Smith has been kind of up and down. He had that great first game, and then afterwards, it's just been kind of like he's trying to find. It looks like he hasn't been that established himself as that number 1 guy yet. Although I do like him today to get a lot of targets. Again, with the Chiefs defense and their offense, because they are going to have to keep up with these Chiefs. Because they're going to, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They're going to put up points. Again, good matchup. Kelsey, obviously. Interesting to note, last week we talked about it during the show. Zach Ertz, the most targeted Eagle last week with 7 targets. So if you have Ertz, I wouldn't shy away from playing him today. I think he's going to be a good matchup for you. So I would go ahead and start Ertz with confidence today. This seems like he's establishing himself as the number 1 tight end again after whatever the hell went on in the offseason with him. I like that. Tyreek Hill obviously is a great play. He's always a great play, this week. But, again, I'm not a Tyreek guy, but he just always he's that guy that just takes it to the house anytime. I got him number 3 this week. I was talking about Devonta Smith. Let's see where I got him. Devonta Smith, I got down as 27. Like I said, I just until he establishes himself as that number 1 presence, just not a guy I would insert in my starting lineup with confidence each week. And like I said, Zach Ertz, he kind of propelled. He was on the injury report a little bit this week, so wasn't quite sure if he was going to play this week. So I didn't even put him in my damn rankings, but I'm going to put him in. And as I'm looking at it now, I might even throw him where Goddard. I have Goddard at 9. I might put him there and put Goddard a little bit down because I like the targets that he's starting to see. So I think I like big things for Ertz today. So again, I like this matchup in general. I think you'll get a lot of fantasy points out of it. So if you have somebody on either team, I definitely would make the play for that as well. All right, so let's go on to our next matchup that some technical difficulties, but we got the Carolina Panthers and Dallas Cowboys. Now this one is interesting because Carolina's come in 3-0. They're the hot team, the hotness. However, they haven't played many people. They haven't played much. So, I don't know if I'm sold on them yet. Today is that day. I'm sure they're probably talking about that this morning. This is the day, they're going to find out. Is this team for real? Well, we certainly are going to find out. But with Carolina today, they're going to have some issues with the Cowboys defense. Actually, has been played very well. A very opportunistic defense. Right now, they are ranked, however, 25th in the league. So they're not like it's not, but they've been good with turnovers and scoring. So that's where they've been good fantasy wise. But defensively overall, they're ranked 25th. The Carolina Panthers are ranked the number 1 defense in the league overall, which is, again, pretty surprising. But, again, they haven't played many people yet. So, again, this is going to be a big litmus test for them, so to speak, today. Offensively speaking, for Carolina, Sam Darnold has had a decent year this year, but you're coming into this matchup without Christian McCaffrey. Chuba Hubbard is good. He's not like he's a horrible replacement. But he's not Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is that guy you can dump off to and take it to the house anytime, or at least get you a bunch of yards without you having to do much as the quarterback. So a good relief for him is gone. However, you still got Robbie Anderson there. You still got the receivers. Oh my God, I can't think of his name right now because it's too early in the morning. You still have some decent weapons there for him. So I expect him to have a good day. DJ Moore. There it goes. DJ Moore. I like him a lot today. I have him at 15th. Again, this could be another game where you're going to see a lot of back and forth. We do know Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb. And I think this is a get right for Amari Cooper because I know he had that big explosion in the first game. Then he came back down to earth, and then he came, it's just like he's going to build himself back up. I think I like Amari Cooper today. I like him in this matchup. CeeDee Lamb as well. Again, I like this matchup for them. They're going to exploit, I think, the Panthers as pretenders a little bit today. But we'll see if they can answer. I like Zeke, obviously. Zeke's going to have a decent day as well. I have him number 10. He's still in my top 10 this week. I do have, I don't think I did, but I didn't. Oh, I do have Robbie Anderson, 39. So on the other side, Robbie Anderson, 39 in that respect, DJ Moore. So again, this could be a decent game for you fantasy-wise. I think if you have somebody in this game, you can go ahead and start with confidence. I think these defenses are kind of let the offenses run the show today, so to speak. So I like this particular game if you have anyone in those matchups. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We're going to talk about the Giants and the Saints. I got to get a drink because, man, talking by yourself really gives you cotton mouth. We'll be right back.
Ooh, that smells so good. What'd you guys get?
I got the Rasta pasta. It's really good. What'd you get?
I got the shrimp and white rice. It's covered in this amazing jerk sauce.
Did you know it's their signature jerk sauce that they actually make here? And we're taking a bottle home. I got the jerk chicken. I'll give you some of mine if you let me try yours.
No, I'm not sharing this. This is all mine.
And I'm already done.
Wow.
And don't forget, if you're looking for a Jamaican cuisine, real spicy finger licking good, check out Irie Vibes at 313 Central Avenue, Albany, New York. Remember, that's where the licking is good.
Well, it's Sunday morning, Jesus. So hopefully the licking was good for you last night. All right, let's go on to the next matchup, the Giants and the New York Giants and the New Orleans Saints. It's too damn early. All right. Again, Daniel Jones. We visited him. I don't know how many times now. I don't know what a great NFL quarterback he is. Fantasy, though, he's been decent this year. Not a great game last week. I would temper expectations this week, too, as the Saints defense is 6th in the league. So, again, tough matchup for him. Didn't play all that great last week. So this week, I kind of see him in the middle of the road. I actually have him at 22. That's not even middle at all. I don't expect a lot out of Daniel Jones today, especially out of the, he's kind of in the Ryan Tannehill situation. Both of them have Sterling Shepard has been his number one this season. So he's down. Slayton's down as well. So he has basically, a couple options against a tough defense. So again, temper expectations there. As far as Jameis Winston goes, man, it's like that conundrum. Do you start Jameson? Because who are you going to get? Are you going to get the gunslinger that's going to throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns and 6 interceptions? Or are you going to get what we've seen this year, which is almost a scared Jameis Winston, but very, very efficient, I guess I put it that way. Not efficient in the sense of I don't think he's even hit over 200 yards yet. So it's, he's almost got a label, and I don't know if I've ever said this about a quarterback, but he's almost touchdown dependent. So as crazy as that sounds. So, again, the Giants defense, however, isn't all that great. So I would expect Jameson to kind of get right this game. In fact, they are defensively 20th overall. So I would, expect him to kind of bounce back a little bit this week. I like Saquon in this game only because I just like Saquon. I've been talking about him all offseason. I think he's going to still finding his groove. So he might get right a little bit in this game. Alvin Kamara, again, what can you say about Alvin Kamara? That hasn't been said already. Number 2 this week against that porous Giants D. And Saquon, by the way, I do have him 15th overall. In the receiver department, let's see, we got, obviously I brought up Kenny Golladay. His value has brought up a lot in this particular matchup. And Marquez Callaway, there was so much hype in him, and I think I grabbed him in almost every damn league I was in, that I could anyway, that someone else didn't grab him. Just been non-existent. But today, again, this could be a good get-right game for him. So, if you have Marquez Callaway and you haven't played him or you benched him because of his performance, if he's a flex play for you or low-end wide receiver 2, I think, he might have potential to be 1 today. So I have him ranked 44th, however, because, again, he's kind of hurt us. So, not much to speak of there. Evan Ingram on the tight end wise, he was like my, sleeper this week. Again, temper your expectations with him. But, again, with the injuries, he could see a lot of the a lot of the target share this week. So, again, temper your expectations, but Evan Ingram could be a sneaky good play for you today. All right, so let's move on to our next game. Excuse me. We're going to bring up the Minnesota Vikings and the Cleveland Browns. Interesting game here because we brought up earlier the injury with Dalvin Cook, the in and out of the practice. Does he play? Does he not play today? However, again, I feel like this is the phrase of the day. Temper your expectations simply because of the injury. Madison has played well, and Cleveland Browns, they are defensively number 3 overall. So a tough matchup too for them. So again, I would watch out for Dalvin Cook today because we do not know how much we're going to see him on the field. Because again, he gets one little nick, and it might just be like, you know what, I'm out. So let's look at the quarterbacks in this one. We'll talk about Baker Mayfield. They run the ball so much, but OBJ's there. So, who knows? This could be an okay day for him. But again, Browns defense, very tough. So something to watch out for. On the other side, Kirk Cousins. He's been very good this season. And I just, every week I have like this weird conundrum with him. Like, where do I put him? Today, however, again, I put him at 18th, and again, it's because of the matchup. So that's my Kirk Cousins placement today. Running back wise, rankings, I put Dalvin Cook in there. Madison's still in there for me as well, but again, they're going to be for me a low end running back 2 today because of the matchups. Chubb and Hunt, I mean, they are who they are. They are the identity, excuse me, of the Browns. That's where you're going to see the offense today. So again, I like Chubb today, 4th. Minnesota's defense, not what it was. And Hunt, I like at 17th. They could flip-flop. Who knows? It's just whoever has the hot hand today. And again, talking about OBJ, I do like him in this matchup only because, again, that defense isn't that great. And, you know, he is the only guy there. So I do have him 26. You know, I'm not expecting a crazy day. But, you know, who knows? It could be a decent day for OBJ being the only target there. So that's really about it. Oh, excuse me. Justin Jefferson. I'm sorry. I almost forgot the big receivers in Minnesota. Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, they're gangbusters. You know, Justin Jefferson can take it to the house anytime. Doesn't matter how good the Cleveland defense is because of his big playability. And of course, Adam Thielen, I have him 16th this week. You know, again, it's Adam Thielen. He's that solid guy every week that's been dependable for you. Austin Hooper and Conklin, you know, it's one of those plug and play situations. Conklin was a little banged up this week too. Again, tough matchup. And, you know, they don't utilize the tight end a lot in Cleveland. But again, Minnesota's defense, excuse me, not all that great. So, you know, again, could be a good play for you. All right, so we've had some good matchups. Let's go to some ones that aren't so great. The Lions and the Bears, oh my. The Bears offense, 32. Dead last. Disgusting. You know, and this back and forth with Nagy, and I don't know who the quarterback is. I mean, he's basically saying, hi, I want to be fired. Please fire me. I hate it here. Because this makes no sense. If I'm Nagy, if Justin Fields is in, he's my young guy. I'm not going to mess with his ego or his head. He's already in. He's our guy. Fuck it, Dalton, bye. We're moving on. You're obviously not getting it done anyway. Swift a little banged up in this game, so just watch out for his injury status because that obviously will elevate Jamal Williams a lot. The Bears defense was 11th in the league overall. You know, they kind of got chopped up a little bit last week, so you know, not crazy good, but also the Lions offense started out good and then last week took a shit too. So let's see who comes out this week ahead. Jared Goff this week, you know, could have a decent game, maybe, but I think this is going to be more defensive, you know, back to the old school monsters of the midway type game. To be honest, I just don't see a lot of offense coming from either side. I didn't even rank any of the Bears quarterbacks this week. That's for obvious reasons. And I put Jared Goff at 29th. Just because the simple fact that the Bears defense is so good and they just looked so bad last week. Swift, like I said, that injury, his injury status may come into play. I do have Jamal Williams at 28th, but obviously he'll be elevated a lot if Swift ends up not going. But I think he's going to end up going. He's been a guy, Swift, by the way, that you can just play every week, regardless of if he starts or not. He's still a moneymaker. And I like what Dan Campbell's doing with him. Because of his, you know, this injury history he's had. Hey, let's keep him off the field as much as we can and keep him in and bring him in for some big plays and where he's more effective. So I do like the way they're managing him this year. So on the Bears side, I talked about Dave Montgomery earlier. Number 9, I have him this week because, again, you know, the Lions defense is just that bad. Receiving wise, nobody on the Lions I can really talk about yet. And, you know, so... And again, even on the Chicago side, I don't even know what to say because I don't know what the quarterback's going to be. I don't know what their situation is. So again, nobody, Allen Robinson, just nobody I would start. Honestly, I'd put Allen Robinson on my bench until we figure things out. There are plenty of good receivers you can plug and play. On 3rd and 4 receivers on other teams, I'd play over Allen Robinson right now. Simple fact is they just can't get him the ball because they can't figure out who is throwing the damn thing. So unfortunately for them, not going to be that great of a fantasy day for them. All right, we'll go on to another not so interesting matchup, at least for one side. The Houston Texans visit the Buffalo Bills. Houston Texans, you know, with this crazy quarterback situation. David Mills is going to be the starter today. And against one of the best defenses in the league. They're 4th overall. If you have the Buffalo's D, obviously this is the big start for you. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders. We can go on and on. A lot of great matchups for the Buffalo Bills today. Get right for Stephon Diggs. Josh Allen's going to have a good game. Emmanuel Sanders, you could play. You could play Cole Beasley. You could play Zach Moss. You could play Devin Singletary. You can play any Dawson Knox. There's another guy. Anybody on the Bills. Ask Nick the Flander. He knows what's up. He basically has his stardom as every Bill today. And there's nobody really offensively on the Texans I would sit out and say, hey, I would definitely start today. So, again, I don't want to sit here and go on and on about this matchup because it's going to be a very lopsided event. Oh, if you're in a survivor pool, play the Buffalo Bills. Not that I probably needed to tell you that. All right, let's head down to America's team, Miami Dolphins. I talked about them earlier. They just, unfortunately, this particular season with the Tua situation, the line doesn't look good. Just not coming out to, the expectations that we thought. Going down to Miami today. So if you are down there, well, I will see me down there. Check me out, 305. Got the Miami Heat tattoo. So come up, say hi to me. Miami's offense, 29th in the league. I'm not going to talk about anybody on Dolphins because maybe Devontae Parker, maybe Jalen Waddle, maybe Myles Gaskin. They're even using Myles Gaskin in this running back platoon with Malcolm Brown and such. So, again, not much to talk about offensively for the Dolphins. Interesting on the Colts side with Carson Wentz injury and Jonathan Taylor being questionable today. Miami's defense is pretty decent. So, I would watch out for that. Although they are ranked overall 24th. So, again, could be a good day for Jonathan Taylor anyway, as unfortunately, Miami cannot seem to stop a cold in the run game. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll finish up the rest of today's action. We'll be right back.
Hey, Flander fans, this is Nick, you got Flander from TSSFantasy.com. Do you ever find yourself needing financial help and don't know where to turn, and you live in the New York area? Well, Shelton Financial Management LLC is your answer because they do all of the following: audits, reviews, and in addition to bookkeeping, business consulting, tax prep, and much more, they do it all. To contact them for your financial business needs, you can find Shelton Financial Management LLC right here on Facebook or directly at the following number: 585-376-0574, and on the web at SheltonFinancialManagementLLC.com. Shelton Financial Management LLC is our number one pick for our financial needs.
All right, let's move on now to the Falcons and the Redskins, or excuse me, FT. Sorry, what the hell's wrong with me? All right, so again, offensively, the Falcons are not the Falcons that we were used to. Even as bad as their defense, the garbage time minutes just aren't even there for them. But again, and then on the other side, when we're talking about expectations, FT's defense has not come to play this year. They are actually 30th in the league. I actually used a pretty decent draft pick to get them in a couple leagues. So they're actually been a very big disappointment. However, again, when we talked about the other teams, who they've played, the Redskins have played nothing but good offenses. So could this be a get-right game for them? It could be. I actually do like them this week. I kind of brought them up in my rankings. Offensively with the Falcons, they're 28th. And again, just a big struggle. Kyle Pitts, where you been at? Calvin Ridley, also, where you been at? With the absence of Julio Jones, you would expected a big year for Calvin Ridley. Unfortunately, it just has not come to play for him. Again, though, I do think, he could have a decent game and keep throwing him out there because eventually he's going to hit. So I do have him number 7 this week overall. Like I said, eventually something's going to give because somebody's got to get right here. It's either going to be the Atlanta offense or it's going to be FT's defense. I think it's going to be FT's defense personally, just because of, all the expectations that came in the offseason. Not much expectation for the Falcons. At least offensively, you thought that they'd be decent. So we'll see. We'll see how that turns out today. All right, so going on to Seattle and San Francisco in this matchup, there's some plenty of stars to go around in this game. But on the 49ers side, they are basically what I like to equate the Riddler of the NFL offensive world, because you just don't know. Go to their receivers, go to their running backs, hell, go to their quarterback. I mean, well, they are playing Jimmy G more now, but it's this constant carousel, and you just don't know who to play. This week, again, it looks like might be Trey Sermon getting the start, but who knows? He came out last week and didn't look like he even belonged. So do we see a lot of Trey Sermons this week? Who knows? Might be the Krutsky guy. I can't even pronounce his name, so I'm not going to try. Cruikshank, thank you. See, my wife's here to Mary Jane Cooper Esquire is here to help me with pronunciations while I'm here. He might have a decent game today because, again, if Trey Sermon comes out and can't do anything, the Seahawks defense, however, is 31st. So if he can't get right now, I don't know when he's going to get right. On Seattle side, obviously Russell Wilson. I mean, what's there not to like? Always consistent, always the guy. DK Metcalf is going to be, again, he's hadn't been getting right, so now he's starting to trend in the right direction. Tyler Lockett being a little banged up this week. However, like I said, on Friday, he did have a full practice, so you can expect, Tyler Lockett to go today. Does that mean, because of his hip, does that mean he sees less targets? That could mean more for DK Metcalf. And don't forget, if you had somebody I didn't put in here into the injury report, and I just remembered as we're talking about the game, Gerald Everett is not going to play today due to being the COVID status. So somebody, if you want to stream somebody, tight end, Will Dissly, when he played, he's been good, and he's been a red zone guy. So somebody that might be a decent play if you need a tight end, if you're like, man, somebody at the last minute, pick up Will Dissly. He might be a good play for you today. Again, the 49ers defense is, 15th. It's not the greatest, but, it's not the worst neither. So, temper expectations, but could be a good one. All right. So this, to me, the fantasy extravaganza of the day, the Arizona Cardinals and the LA Rams, both great offenses. Obviously, the Rams with the great defense. So, you have that already playing for them. But the third-ranked offense for Arizona, Kyler Murray, Hopkins, it just goes on and on. Kirk is a good play. I like all Cardinals. It doesn't matter to me how good the Rams defense is because of the Cardinals. We talked about them earlier in the year. It's like a Phoenix Suns style, if you will, in basketball, that constant press offense, just constantly pressing on you. It's almost like if you're running the football late in the season, once you're constantly pounding on someone, there eventually will breaks. And that's what the Arizona Cardinals do to teams. They're sitting here watching their games, and they're just constantly putting pressure on you down the field. Eventually that breaks you down. Matt Stafford, again, that constant guy every year that's consistent. And this year he's on an MVP status, playing great. And he's finally got himself on a great football team. So it's really cool to see. The connection with Cooper Kupp has been absolutely amazing. I know Cooper Kupp is like, where have you been all my life, Matt Stafford? He might be in the Hall of Fame at this point, how well he's starting out. He is my number one receiver this week, by the way. I do like Cooper Kupp a lot. Hopkins has kind of struggled a bit with Jalen Ramsey, although he played well last year. And he's actually the last couple games, DeAndre's struggled a little bit. So, again, when I talk about get right, this is my get right for Hopkins. He's going to have a good day today. It's a big matchup. He's a big play guy. I like to see a lot with Hopkins today. Christian Kirk, I would temper expectations on, but again, I still like him as well, like the whole offense. Robert Woods talked about get right games, right? So Robert Woods is that guy that again could be the big step up game today. Obviously, everyone knows, including the Arizona Cardinals, that Cooper Kupp's the man. So what are they going to do? Key on him. That could open up things for Robert Woods today. So watch out there. Darrell Henderson, if he goes, great. I talked about with I believe with Dalvin Cook earlier, Dalvin Cook owners, if he ends up not going or gets hurt during, then you enter Sony Michel in a game where I expect a lot of points. So Sony Michel can end up having a good day today if that's the way game flow dictates and Darrell Henderson gets out of that particular game. Look for AJ Green. Look for any Arizona Cardinal receivers. I like them as well. All right, let's talk. We're going to go to Pittsburgh and Green Bay. Talk about this one real briefly. I've talked about Valdez-Scantling being out today, so you can expect Devontae Adams, obviously, to have a big target share, which he was already expecting it anyway. Steelers D, 12th in the league, not horrible, but not the Steelers D that we're used to. So I expect still a good game from Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones. You're going to see the whole crew. Also on the Pittsburgh side, again, we've seen kind of been declining a bit, but with Deontay Johnson now healthy, basically almost the only healthy guy with Chase Claypool questionable today, Juju not out. Juju wasn't questionable. He's go, but I believe he has ribs injuries as well. So, he could be out of the game. It could be Deontay Johnson's show all day today. So I do like Deontay Johnson. And again, they are going to have to catch up to these guys. So I like Deontay Johnson in this particular matchup. All right, let's go on to Baltimore and Denver. Talk about this one real briefly. Not sure how much I like Lamar. I have him as my sit-em this week, simply because, again, the back injuries and also Denver's defense, number 2 against the run. So what does Lamar like to do? He likes to run the football. So I would temper expectations of Lamar today. And I don't like anybody. I'm going to say this very clear. I don't like one person on the Denver Broncos. I would not play anybody today. The Ravens defense, I think this Ravens team is just going to put the Broncos in their place today is what I think. So I think you can expect a big game from the Ravens, not so much from the Broncos. Moving on to the biggest game of the century. I've been talking about this all off season, but I'll tell you right now, this is going to be the most boring one to watch tonight, because it's going to be all Buccaneers, going to be all over this Patriots. Now, the Patriots defense is ranked 5th. However, a lot of injuries going into this game. So I just don't see a lot happening here for the Patriots. I see Mac Jones maybe having a decent day in garbage time to try to get up to Brady. But, I wouldn't expect much. Jacoby Myers is an interesting play because we talked about, I just talked about those garbage minutes. So Jacoby Myers could be that guy. He got targeted a bunch of times last week. So it could end up, being that big guy today. Who knows? And Damian Harris, wouldn't start him. You know how good the Bucs runs D is. I think we've talked about it a few times. They're really, really good against the run. I wouldn't see much from Damian Harris. With Rob Gronkowski out, talked about it earlier, might want to think about a plug and play for OJ Howard. It's a possibility. Other players are going to step up though and get those targets, so you can expect a good day from even Antonio Brown coming back off the illness from last week, so to speak. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, those guys, they're going to get an uptick in targets. So you're going to see a lot. Big night for Brady. We talked about it before. Huge night for Brady. So it's all he's going to want to do today is just eat up that Patriots team. So it's going to be a fun thing to watch. However, I wouldn't expect much out of the game at all. All right, so I have talked myself to death for an hour. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope if you have any questions, I'd answer them for you. And if you guys, if you have any questions during the week, send them in our comments. Or again, you can reach out on social media. I'd be happy to answer anything there for you as well. Don't forget, visit us at tssfantasy.com. You can see all of our current rankings, join all of our shows, anything like that. If you're watching us now and want to hear more, please go to Unhinged Radio. You can hear our Ready Set Week 4. That's from 8 to 9 a.m. on Unhinged Radio. You can listen to us every day on Unhinged Radio at 8 to 9 a.m. Make us part of your morning commute. We are the fantasy show of the people. And we appreciate you. Enjoy today's games today. Good luck. Hope hope you guys can pull out a victory for yourselves. And we are out.